Welcome back. You're listening to another exciting episode of Video Ditch, another Halloween or October episode of Video Ditch with Sam and Nick, as always, joined today by a very special guest. Nick, please give them the intro treatment.
Absolutely. In today's day and age, the Steam marketplace is a place overwrought, overfilled, overstuffed with games with tags you might recognize. They say roguelike, roguelites, procedurally generated, XYZ. You think to yourself, enough with this crap. Sure, I can see the number go up. Sure, I can see the pretty colors. Sure, I can see bright flashing lights. But where's the substance? Where's the meaning? Where's the message? And, you know, for those of you saying all those things that I just said, because you're free thinkers just like me, you can tell because we have the same thoughts and the same opinions, the game that you want to play is Rogue Labyrinth, a game that not only has fun elements that will make you smile, big bouncing objects that will make you grin with all your teeth showing, but also a story and a message that will make you think, maybe I should go to Mr. Beast's house and give him a little talking to, for lack of a better phrase. Maybe I should go to a certain Mr. Musk's abode and figure out what happens when you combine, chlorine and ammonia and you leave it in someone's So, Wick, I'm going to need you to bleep that last part out.
Yes, but today joining us, we've got John Bond.
Thank you for the introduction. I think the introduction got sidetracked, but I didn't mind it. It was very nice. I kept like, one of these days it's going to be me. It's somewhere in there about possibly murdering rich people.
Well,
it's John Bond.
Yeah. We censored it probably. I think you'll probably remember.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, hello.
John,
I am John
Thank you for coming on the show today. For viewers and listeners who haven't seen our interview from PAX, do you want to explain to them who you are?
I am John Bond. I'm the co-founder of T-Witch Games. It is a game studio. There is, let's say co-founder because there is two of us. We have recently put out a game, and that's the one that is being talked about. If we're just focusing on only me, that's pretty much, I guess I'm the director. I did a lot of the art. I did the programming, the design, a lot of the sound. Not the music, though. We had a composer in there who's incredible.
Saya Sounds, correct?
Saya Sounds. Very, very good. Talking about me? We're still talking about me? We don't have to.
No. I mean,
that's the whole intro.
The whole intro
is, listen, whether you like it or not, we're going to get to the bottom of you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. You can try. I got a pretty awesome bottom, I have to say. It's too difficult with this camera to like show because I have horrible lighting, but you just believe me. It's pretty good.
True, we met.
Yeah.
It's stuck.
We spent a good 10 minutes just staring at it.
Live in living color.
But we met at PAX. The game that we're talking about, Rogue Labyrinth.
Rogue Labyrinth.
Yeah,
10 minutes in, we finally say the title.
Yeah, we could have saved it longer. I was wondering, but how long do we dance around it? The game is called Rogue Labyrinth, and it was at PAX West where we had met and talked for a bit, and I got to watch Sam get embarrassed by dying. And
it happens. I'm not too proud to admit it.
It was a good time, but the only reason we were there is because we actually had a publisher, NDIO, who was like, "Hey, we're gonna be there. Do you want your game there? And do you want to show up?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're not far, so Beautiful. Let's do it."
Yeah.
I don't know how much I should make this just focused on me or the game. I feel like you guys have such a good plan because you're really, really well put together people.
Oh yeah, you can tell at a glance, right?
Yeah.
Certainly. Well, I mean, our plan right now is to give you, classic Video Ditch treatment. We'll go into your gaming past, and then we'll talk Rogue Labyrinth. Then
as much as we love the games, the fact of the matter is people make the games. It's not just the Hideo Kojimas, the one-offs of the world. There are directors, people with ideas, people who have genuine passion that make these games. We want to put a spotlight on the people who make them.
Well, yeah, thank you for doing that. I'm glad that you do this because it's necessary, and not all of us are Hideo Kojima. But I do think there's too many guys, usually boring white dudes, that want to be Hideo Kojima, and I'm glad that I'm not.
Very good. Very good. And I mean, do we want to start with, your influences, your gaming past? Where did that journey begin for you? And
where did it all begin?
Oh my gosh, where it all began. I was obsessed with games growing up, but I actually didn't play very many games. I didn't have a ton of games that I would see a lot of my contemporaries. I am a quintessential 90s kid. And so this was the time of the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis and PlayStation and all that kind of stuff. Most of the time that I ended up getting these systems, I only ever picked up 1 or 2 games. And I never had that much time to play them. I had one of those, familial units that was kind of like, you can play this for a little bit. Well, that's it. Get off of that thing, which was fine. I'm not crying about it still to this day.
It doesn't haunt me.
Yeah, I was the person who I rented Donkey Kong Country like once, and I was like filling notebooks with fake Donkey Kong Country levels, like sketching in little like trees and banana like paths and stuff like that. And like I spent more time like making fake levels to games that I hardly played or even never played, but would like see an ad for. I was just obsessed with like the concept of games. I managed to get my hand on a couple of those gaming monthly magazines that would talk about like, these are the latest games or whatever. And then they would have like a section that would be like a small instruction manual about like, oh, these are some of the cool weapons in Resident Evil 2. And this is how you get past like this section or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And that made me realize that people write about games. And then every single time I went into, Borders bookstore, rest in peace, I would sit in the gaming section and I would just grab rule books and instruction manuals and just read them, pretending like I was playing the game in my head. So I was very obsessed with games for my entire childhood. That's a big part of, I guess, why I design games, teach about games, do everything about games. I teach in games. I guess I should explain that. That's something that I do as well. I teach at Cornish College of the Arts. I am a instructor there for their games program. So
yeah, right on. I remember reading in I think it was pressed from the Six, the Indie Six.
Yes, you're an award-winning creator.
Yes, I've gotten a couple
of awards. You have a background in music as well. Is that correct? Yeah. Was that like tied? Did that have any relationship to your gaming passion as well, or are those kind of removed from each other?
Mostly just the teaching part. I played a lot of instruments, mostly piano growing up. I didn't have teachers a lot. People would have said we were a little poor, but we had access to go to pianos pretty easily, and then eventually we even had our own piano, and I loved plinking away at it. And occasionally I had teachers, and I hated all of my teachers that I can like remember pretty well. They're not bad, but I'm just a horrible student. And when I became of college age, I did a performance like competition, and I got a scholarship to go to college for piano performance. I ended up losing that scholarship pretty fast. They cut a huge amount of funding. There was a whole lot of debacle stuff, whatever. And I had this like inner like turmoil thing of like, do I just keep doing this and paying a bunch of money that I don't really have? Or do I just start teaching? Because I talked to all these like piano performers that I'm like going to school with. I have doctorate piano performer that I like talk with. And I asked them like, what are you trying to do when you're here in college? And they're like, I want to become a teacher. And I realized like, I can just become a teacher right now. Like, why am I here? And so I was a teacher for 7 years for music. Right. I taught in schools. I had a little studio, and I helped teach at another studio. And that I would think was probably the biggest help for being a game designer, because most game design is just literally how do you teach people who are not paying attention to your game. Gaming is so much just like learning over and over again. How do you learn a little bit and have fun with it? And being a teacher then and now has been more overlapping my feel of working in games and being in games.
The systems of engagement. Yeah,
exactly.
So interesting to think about.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, music is great and I love it, but I wouldn't say that like, I mean, I'm sure there's overlaps that people can do, people who are smarter than me that have the vocabulary, but like for me, I would say that the fact that I had a lot of experience in teaching pretty early on, that's the thing that I tap into a lot.
Right on. Very cool. With gaming and growing up, when you eventually when you eventually had a little more access to games,
Yeah.
I suppose. What are some like early standout titles for you, and what about those games like appealed to you so much?
Oh my God. The biggest one that I always think about, that I still think about like on a daily basis of making stuff, is Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo. That game, for those who don't know, is just an early Kirby game. That's one of the games that Sakurai worked on, the guy who did Smash Brothers and stuff. It's like 8 little Kirby games in one cartridge, and they all were a little different from each other, but all had sort of the same idea. But basically, it was just a game that me, someone who had barely played games and was quite simply pretty bad at games, could pick up and learn and have a lot of fun with. But then over the years, I got better at the game and never stopped having fun with it because it has such an insanely high skill ceiling that you can always be doing new stuff with it, and it always rewards you for each new thing that you do. So I could beat it as a kid, but I could come back to it 10 years later and I could breeze through it just, with my eyes closed, basically. Or I could really get in the weeds and like be like, what's the best move set? What's the coolest move set? What's the best way to clear the screen? How do I get through this the fastest? How do I get through this doing the most damage? That kind of stuff. And each thing, it was so measurable about how it like treated you as a player. And I love that. It was also a game that very easily incorporated co-op if you wanted. I have siblings, so we play it together. But also was very playable entirely alone. It was a nice like sibling type thing where it wasn't like Sonic and Tails. Like I know people play like Sonic 2, and if you're Tails, like Sonic just like leaves the screen and you're like, well, I'm just gone forever. Like it was a lot more like, it was so well ingrained, this experience. So you could approach the game 5 different ways, and each way was really good. And that's something that like stuck to me so well. So that's one I think stands the test of time quite well. And it was influential to me back then, and it still is, I guess.
Yeah, you feel like you kind of subconsciously or consciously took those design influences into Rogue Labyrinth.
Yeah. It's such a big thing for me to make Rogue Labyrinth a game where people can approach it and have fun, even if they haven't played a whole lot of hack and slashy action roguelikes. Because in my experience, I think most roguelikes are a little difficult. And so most people, they kind of have been learned not to bother with them because they're just too hard. And I wanted something that was a little bit easier to get into, but also if someone wanted to get too far into it, there was enough room for them to do so.
Yeah, that's Nick Cale.
Well, less than 1% of players, you could say, on that percentile, if you wanted. And there is evidence.
The cream of the crop over here. Yeah. Oh, very good. Well, Nick, any questions for John about the past?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Superstar in particular, that is a great pick. I'm a big Kirby truther as well, and Superstar is one of my favorites. And I definitely see what you're talking about, especially like just the mini games going from Spring Breeze, which is like literally baby's first video game. Just you can just hold forward, rub your face against every enemy, and you'll still win. Compared to something like Great Cave Offensive.
Yeah,
and, I can definitely see that design philosophy coming through in Rogue Labyrinth, even with just like the Ficanasso mode, where you can still beat the game without having to get all these extra little difficulty options. But then, if you want something a little bit more exciting, you can make it an absolutely torturous experience for no real reason outside just to make yourself smile.
Just to do
masochistic.
it.
Just to say that you can do it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let me see.
Ficanasso mode being basically the toggleable easy mode in Rogue Labyrinth was an easy addition. But I mean, even like at a more baseline, Rogue Labyrinth is a game where you can do like 5 or 6 different moves at any given time. But if you are a simplistic game player and you just want to hold down the mash like the attack button over and over, it's still pretty playable. And that's kind of like the thing. Like it's still punishing if you never bother to dash, but you can still actually beat the game if you never dash. It's still punishing if you never use any one of the like optional weapons, secondary weapons and everything. But I still want it to be like doable. And much in the same way that in Kirby, like Kirby games, there are dozens of abilities that you can pick up, a whole lot of different moveset things. There's a lot of combinations. You can get a power that like, oh my gosh, I have the ninja power, so now I can like grab an enemy and toss them into the air and then make them blow up and hit another, like do all this stuff. But like you don't have to do any of that. You can just hold forward and then just like hit the like eat button, and then you just eat an enemy, and then you're like, I'm done. Like, just keep going. Like, and that's a lot of what I would want, not just for Rogue Labyrinth, really just for games in general. It's just that like you get a lot of choice to make your experience in the game, but also they're all
valid.
Yeah, all valid, all fun, all usable, at least to some extent.
Yeah, I think
that especially shines through what I would say with like the most iconic mechanic of Rogue Labyrinth, the bouncing, because it is the most fun to look at and the most fun to do. But also, I think it is makes the game the easiest if you just put everything into bouncing with you don't the timer on at least.
I mean, it's the main gimmick. Rogue Labyrinth, if there's projectiles, if there's anything that comes at you, you can just attack it and it'll bounce back and become your own projectile, your own weapon. And you can also just go around and you can hit objects that are on the screen, trees, rocks, anything, and it will turn into a projectile for you to go towards your enemies. And that just is like, that's all tied to the same button. So you just hit the same button and it does all of it for you. It's a great offense because it does damage, but it's a great defense because it bounces back at things for you. And then the game just kind of becomes this like timing thing where it's just like, how do I just put myself in the best situation, the best timing situation to just knock things back and have a great time? And you can play the whole game just doing that and having a good time with that. Most, like 90% of everything is a potential projectile, is a potential weapon for you if you want it to be.
Oh, very cool. I mean, with that, I suppose we can talk about Rogue Labyrinth at large now. With that game, when did the development start? Like, what was the spark there? The initial seed. I guess we kind of spoke about this.
Yeah. Well, the initial spark was I had left some like more questionable studios and was like, I'm learning programming. Maybe I will think about making a game. I made a couple games on my own, like really tiny ones. And I was wondering what my next move would be. And I went to this event called the Indie 6. It is a Seattle Indies event that happens parallel to PAX West. It's a free thing. You just walk in and you just get to see a whole lot of cool indie games that are there that people like put up. One of the games that was being showcased was a game called Peglin, which is incredible. I met the Peglin devs, still talk with them pretty often. They're awesome. They've been very supportive in the Rogue Labyrinth thing, gotten a lot of advice from them. And basically Peglin is Peggle, the game where you just drop balls and it hits stuff, plus a sort of turn-based roguelike game. So you drop balls, they do stuff, and that constitutes you dealing damage to an enemy, and then that's it, right? The idea of basically having gimmick plus roguelike was something that I was like, I can wrap my head around that. I'm a beginning designer. I'm a beginning programmer. I feel like I can approach something like this.
There's a loop here, yeah.
Yeah. It was easy to grasp my head around, and I felt like I could translate that pretty well. Okay. So I was like, what can I do that's like Peglin, but it's not Peglin? And the answer was to make a breakout game, like Arkanoid, Breakout, Brick Breaker.
Right, like pinball, yeah, okay.
Yeah, where, like pinball, where you just have a person or a paddle, and you just hit things up, and it hits things, and then like you gain abilities, and it hits more things and stuff like that. And I mocked that whole thing up. It had a lot of the same basics as the current Rogue Labyrinth. Like I still had a character, they had a bat, they would swing the bat to like hit a ball, It would hit enemies, the enemies would shoot projectiles, you would hit them back, and it was not fun. The first prototype. I think it was called Breakout Labyrinth as like a code name, and it was not very fun. It was too much like waiting around, and with younger players who are not, in their late 30s like me, it was like the feel of not having control and not being able to do anything at any given time feels bad.
Like much a lack of player agency.
Yeah. It's like with Peggle, it doesn't matter as much because you get to watch like, oh, look, all these things bounce around. Like with a match 3 game, it doesn't matter as much because like it's just like you do this and you get to watch a bunch of pretty colors and stuff. But like in a breakout game, in a brick breaker type game, it's so like, I've done this thing. I need to pay attention at where this ball is because at any point it could be coming down, but also I'm also doing nothing. And so like you're on edge, but you're not doing anything. And that feeling didn't feel good.
Yeah, bizarre tension.
Yeah. And I realized that that's like, it's a lack of modernity, I guess, in the game design. So the solution was just like, all right, let's just make it a game that's hack and slash. You just can move around. It's the exact same concept, except now you can move anywhere.
The field has changed. Yeah, interesting.
And that's where it came from, I guess.
That's where it came from.
You know, we kept the whole like, you can break everything, you can destroy everything, you can bounce everything back, except now you can move anywhere, and that was pretty much it. I had some really awful footage of some of the white boxing that I did from some of the early stuff, and it's very like, you can see just from the gameplay compared to like when I added free movement like before, and it's just like boom, bink, 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 and you see like the numbers appear, and there's like little effects and stuff, and it's just so boring. And then like all I did was just make it so you can move anywhere, and the next one, and it's just like so nice, like it's so fast, so much
injected into it. I see.
That was that.
Yeah, I think some of that Diego left over in the was it that Labyrinth event with the generator destroying kind of brick breaker little mini game.
Yeah. It's just something I had to have something that really showed off the roots. So there's one event in the game, one mini game where you literally play Brick Breaker, and you're the little paddle, and it is probably the hardest mini game. I don't see many people do well in it.
I don't know what it is. The soccer one is the worst for me personally. I've actually never gotten a single goal once.
Really?
Really?
Oh my gosh. I've seen people get 6 goals on that, and I don't know how they managed to do it. It is
me neither.
It is obscene how it's just, yeah, there's a game where literally you just place, there's 4 enemies and there's a soccer ball, and you're just trying to hit it into the goal, but they can hit your soccer ball into your goal, or you can hit your own soccer ball into your own goal. And that's just it. And it is, I'm pretty good at it at this point. I would hope so. I played hundreds of hours of this game, but like some people are so obscenely good. We've had some play testers for years on this game, and some of them, like, they see that game and they're like, oh, I got this, and they just score, and I don't know how. They figured something out. They see the Matrix,
like Neo in the Matrix. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You cracked the code. Oh, that's great. Nick, any questions?
Honestly, I want to get into the meat of it. The game itself.
Do it. Get in there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to get in there? How do you want to scoop into this game?
That's the thing. It's so weird because I spent so much time playing it. I will say a very, very big compliment. I think this is the only roguelike I've ever played where I left the music on the entire time I played the game.
Oh my god. Rom. I always just say Rom. But that's the composer. Saya Sounds is so phenomenal. I had to, and I feel bad about this, I had to hold Rom back from making the soundtrack even better. Not because of like, oh no, it's too good. It was because like there's too much happening sometimes. And if there's too much happening in the music, there's this huge amount of like dissonance. I have to have enough room in certain decibels for the player to heal sound effects that are important while still allowing the music to shine. And so like the sound effects have to be really clear at any time. Otherwise, really important sound effects like, oh my gosh, there's an explosion about to happen, look out, is suddenly lost because you have this like insanely awesome like sax solo or something that just happens to be around those same notes. That was like the only like critique I ever commonly had with ROM. Everything else was always so perfect. We wanted something that was, ROM does more music than just the like funky jazzy stuff that we had in this. ROM can literally do anything. Has made so much different kinds of music, has been making music for a long time, for a number of projects and games and everything. Nice. And I'm so lucky to have met them. We worked on a couple things before together, but this was our first like big thing together. Anyway, yes, the music is incredible. It's funny because a lot of people compare the music to Persona 5 just because it's probably the most recognizable.
Just like any acid jazz.
Yeah, anything that's like jazz. They're kind of like, oh my god, it's Persona 5. That's the only game we know. Similar to like anytime people see pixel art, they're like, it's just like Stardew Valley, even if it's like nothing like Stardew Valley. But Ram has literally never played, I don't think has ever listened to Persona 5 until doing this game. The most common references we had for Ram was the soundtrack to Breath of Fire 3, which is another very like like if you turn on the Weather Channel back in the day and it would play for you like easy listening jazz, a common pastime for people back in the day, to the Weather Channel would just
Turn
have
on
like
the Weather Channel.
yeah. Don't you know the Weather Channel, everyone?
Yeah, on the Wii, right?
Yeah, exactly. There was a game that had a soundtrack that was like basically easy listening jazz the whole way through.
Jazz,
and it is strange, and I absolutely loved it. And there was this issue when I was talking with the four of us worked on the game all the way through, and this thing that we would talk about of like too many roguelikes are just metal, or like at least just like rock. Like you listen to it and it's just like, here we go, here's the electric guitar, and we're just gonna like
Mick Gordon inspired. Yeah.
And that's good. It works out well. I wanted to avoid it for two reasons. For one, I just wanted something different so I could listen to for hundreds of hours. And for two, I actually really don't like grindy electric guitar in a lot of things, because you want that level of sound for sound effects. Much in the same way that I find an issue with a lot of like shooty games, where if they have music that's really heavy on bass, the game just sounds like a garbled
cacophony
because
thing,
all the guns have that sound to it, and then if you have music that's also doing
super percussive,
it just like you can't hear it. It's a worse experience, and I'm really, I guess maybe because of my music background, I'm very particular about like what can we listen to at any given time. How can I balance
what's going to be like cutting through? That's interesting. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway. I just rambled.
No worries.
That's the whole point.
Would you say audio is like one of the? I mean, you mentioned that you worked on a lot of the game's audio. Was it one of the more challenging things to balance, or were there other aspects of the game that you found more?
I mean, the programming was definitely the worst thing.
Okay.
But audio was definitely tough because I had not done a lot of work on audio before Rogue Labyrinth. I'd done a little, but not a ton in terms of like digital audio editing in games, especially. It was a lot of fun to do. I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. I still need to balance out, especially like we have voice acting, so voice lines I think are still like badly put in. But like for the most part, it was a lot of fun. There's we talked about Sakurai, who did the Kirby games. That director has a whole set of videos just about like audio levels for different elements of your game, which I remember watching and being like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And I had to go back and completely redo all of my levels. A lot of stuff like you want certain things that it is indicative of player feedback to be decently high, but you don't want the things that are more passive player feedback to be as high. And like, it's just stuff that like made sense to like give this natural feedback to the player that players just don't realize.
Yeah, they're not thinking about it at the moment.
But you really know when it's not correct.
Visible arts.
Wow.
Speaking of Sakurai and voice acting, is that what inspired you to voice Echelon, him also being the antagonist of Kirby?
We did. Echelon being the I voiced Echelon because this game is through SAG-AFTRA. We're such a low budget game. We weren't sure if we were going to go through the whole process of getting this whole thing through the union and getting like proper voice actors and stuff. But at the time that we were making the game, it was in the middle of the SAG-AFTRA strike, where there was a strike about utilizing AI with voice actors. And we were like, well, we don't want to release a game with voice acting that doesn't go through SAG-AFTRA, because that's sort of like could be taken as us like breaking a picket line of sorts. And we also already knew some voice actors, and it was like, well, let's just go through it. And the whole process took absolutely months to do. So much paperwork, so much stuff. It was a lot. It was way more expensive than we thought. And the end process was very much worth it because I think it's awesome.
Okay.
That is the reason why I had to be Echelon, because Echelon has one of the most lines. And at any point, I might have to add more voice lines for Echelon, but the other characters, we were pretty much set. Like, we know exactly what they're going to say. We don't think when we add patch 1.1, 1.2, stuff like that, we're going to add more voice lines to them. Because if we ever added more voice lines to them, it would be another set of months of paperwork. So that's actually the whole reason I voiced Echelon, is just because of the paperwork involved.
Save you some paperwork. I'm just going to voice.
Yeah.
That's be on the lookout. Yeah, for DLC Echelon's Quest.
Yeah, it's just there's the line in there where Echelon's like, buy my audiobook, and it's just going to be an audiobook. It's just
Perfect. It's going to be his telling of how he overcame the Rogue Labyrinth after his unjust dethroning.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
cool.
Yep.
With Rogue Labyrinth, at which point did you realize you had something on your hands that really stood out? That was something not, what's the word? That when it has the tag roguelike, but it is something that is not like your average, like, oh, click through on the Steam page. It is something like actually worth going through, something worth playing, something that genuinely fun gameplay. At what point did that kind of feel real? Did it feel like a solid actual piece of art that you were satisfied to be working on, if that makes sense?
Oh, you always make sense.
Thank you.
You speak so perfectly.
Such eloquence.
Yeah.
We're so lucky.
We have been lucky to have people be playtesters on this game for years now. We started work on this game basically 3 years ago. Essentially, we started work on this. And we had our first prototype for people to play the game after 6 months in. And it was mostly just a few friends and stuff, and we had a little bit of the tiniest bit of marketing. And we had some people play it, and they would play it for a bit, and we would talk, and we would just catch up, and it was fine, and it was good. After about 9 or 10 months in, we did our first in-person showcase thing where we went to I think it was called the Pocket Gamers Expo, and it was just this tiny expo where we had a table and we showed the game. We had some people play it, and then we brought some new people to become play testers and everything. And then I remember it's about 10 or 11 months in, we had our first play test, and this game was just alpha, practically pre-alpha. You had all the major gimmicks to it, but it didn't have a map system. It was just basically you just went room to room and you just did stuff. There wasn't mini games in between. It was just that. And we had people come in and played it that we had not really talked to before, and we were just hanging out. And they would play this game that had basically 1 to 2 hours of content for 3+ hours, just on call on Discord. And I was like, what? Why are people still playing this game? They're not seeing new rooms at this point. It's just the same thing. And yet it was just fun, I guess. And that was just sort of this realization of oh, this gimmick actually makes up for a huge lack of content. And that is great, because that's exactly what you want for a roguelike game, for a game where you can make, do this much work, but get this much, a gameplay out of it. Because that's the toughest thing for any game developer, whether they are AAA or indie, is just it takes a lot of effort to make a game. How do you get someone to have fun for longer than 5 minutes when you need them to sit around for a while and feel good about it the whole time? So yeah, it was at that point that we had our first play test where people just sat around and played for hours, and we held monthly play tests all the way up until release. And every time people would sit around 2 to 4 hours hanging out, talking. Some of them wouldn't talk. Some of them would just be playing the game.
They'd just be playing the game.
Kind of
focused.
Yeah, you had a new beta patch? I'm here to play it. And you just sit there, play it, and then 2 hours later, hey, thanks, that was great, bye. Sign out.
So glassed over.
Yeah. And it was, I don't know, it was fun. It was nice. A lot of people who's been around for a long time, we put them in the audience, so you can see different audience members. People have different sprites in there. They've meant a lot to the production of all this.
The development of it. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, very cool. Yeah. Nick, did you have something?
You can go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask a bit about the narrative.
Oh, perfect. That's also what I was going to ask. So that works out perfect.
Beautiful.
That's what I was going to next talk about, actually. So that's great. It didn't matter what you were going to ask about. I was going to talk about narrative.
All in sync.
Yeah.
I remember when we talked about the game at PAX, you mentioned wanting to have kind of narrative explanations for most of the game's mechanics or systems.
Yeah.
Why is that something that you value so much? What connection do you think that forms with the player? I suppose that makes it more meaningful. It's just the thing I like.
Diegetic explanation for anything in a game, I think, really connects with a lot of people. It's also just a lot of fun, and it's also possible. It's one of those things that's just we're at the point in games where we could do it, but then we just don't. And they just kind of everyone just feels like they get a pass. And I'm not saying that it's bad that people do that. it's nice when there's an explanation for why something's happening. We knew we wanted to make a narrative game, and so that was what a lot of the mechanics were trying to be explained out of. It was very early on that we knew it was going to be this like battle royale type game, because it just immediately lent itself to like, you're trying to do something over and over, you're trying to beat up other people, and then you just go back and you have to go through a different version of it each time. Like, a lot of these things were like easy for us to get into, much in the same way that like, you know, Hades can explain it, and Cobalt Core could explain it rather well, you know, stuff like that, that just like, oh, what do we do to make it so it just makes sense you're doing over and over? Because there's so many roguelikes that don't explain that. They just expect you just like, oh, you just do it again, do it again, do it again.
You get it, just do it.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't mind that, but like, boy, is it nice when there's an explanation, when there's reasoning. And yeah, I mean, that was a lot of the first brainstorming, was just to come up with that reasoning. We knew about Echelon and the Battle Royale and the countries, the story and everything well before we made most of the game features and mechanics, because that was something important to us. Yeah, I have no clue if I even answered anything.
No,
You did. I think that's kind of
that certainly answered my question.
I think a narrative is kind of what separates a average or a roguelike game from being what would you call it? Like numbers slop, dopamine slop from an actual game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, of course you do. You made the damn game.
I see what you mean, Nick.
What's that?
Yeah, I think that is true, and I love seeing more narrative appearing in games now. I feel like it's getting more and more important for a lot of game experiences for a lot of people. And it's not even to say that everything needs to have like a plot or a story specifically. Like, even if the plot is randomized every time, it's still a plot. Even if the plot is very loose reasoning, but there's like bits of dialogue or essence to it, that's still a plot. It's still something.
Yes.
Like, we want more than Tetris, as amazing as Tetris is, for a number of games that can afford to have that. And we expect a higher quality as gamers, because it takes our time, and we want a reason for this to take our time, and for us to feel something.
It's true.
And story and narrative is a part of that, and I'm glad to see that it's getting more importance. I see more and more, because I teach in a games program. I'm taking a class where I'm learning more about game design, just to do it and learn more always. And I see more and more as every semester goes by, more and more people want to learn about narrative design, care about how do you tie narrative to game mechanics in a way that feels married appropriately to display to the player, without ostracizing things like, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed because it's like this like, I'm watching a cutscene now I'm playing a game that's really fast paced, and also how do I have something happen and have it affect you. I have this whole lecture about how do you make 1 + 1 = 2 feel important narratively to a player, just about things like, in a simplistic form, oh, your strength is 1, you deal 1 damage, I've given you this awesome sword that has something important to do with the plot, you're now going to equip it, and now you're going to do 2 damage. That, mechanically speaking, number wise, like you were saying, in terms of just the slop of numbers, is just 1 + 1 = 2. But by introducing it in this form, oh, this is an important hero's sword that has something to do with like your uncle or whatever, blah, 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 and I'm handing it over to you, and you now have to carry on with this thing. That has become 1 + 1 = 2, and that 2 means something. Really means that +1
is varying narrative significance with the game mechanic.
And it's like, it's not even hard.
It's like you teach this stuff. That's crazy. You explain it so well.
So yeah, that's something that's important to us as a whole, and I'm glad to see that it's becoming more important, at least to indie developers. I see more and more.
Yeah, well, they make the stuff we want to play, so that makes sense.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. It's not independent, but there's a big reason why there's a lot more emphasis and there's a lot more importance, and people remember things like getting the Master Sword or the Big Goron's knife, things like that, and they remember getting the purple fucking hot Cheeto Gatorade flavored super gun that does 1 billion DPS.
Yeah. I mean, because it's stuff that's like
that emotion.
Yeah, I think about like it felt awesome to get like the big gun that clears the screen in Doom, but then in the later Doom games, they're like, oh, but this is the gun that like shoots to like send a ship into space or whatever, and you also can use it to like clear the screen. Like they just gave it like a bit of narrative, and all of a sudden it becomes like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever. It was already cool objectively, but now it just has that little bit of tie-in that makes no sense in any amount of physics, but it doesn't matter. Like
it's got
just
that
a little bit of tie-in.
gravitas.
It's great, and I think that that's always helpful and always appreciated. And it doesn't also have to be very ham-fisted. I mean, like Dark Souls, those Souls games, they do a great job with that. You have a whole lot of story that's just baked into scenery. So if people care, they can spend the time looking at stuff and learning stuff. Undertale does literally the same thing. Every item in Undertale has a story to it, but it's all hidden in subtext. It's all hidden behind like, oh, this old tutu I've picked up, I could just wear it and put it on, but actually it has a story behind it. But they don't tell you like, oh, this old tutu belonged to this like you have to pay attention and care, and then you get to learn. But if you don't pay attention and care, you still get excellent game. But if you do pay attention and care and spend the time for it, it's your choice as the player to spend the time for it, and all of a sudden you have a much higher like appreciation.
Yeah, you have the added context that your relationship deepens with the work.
And I do like that when it's not ham-fisted, that it doesn't like force you to like spend the time. And that's just a personal opinion. I think that, you know, context, pros and cons to everything, but that's
what would be an example of a ham-fisted game? You'd say that does something like that.
Oh my god, Kojima.
Oh really? You hate him?
Yeah. No, I love Kojima games, but it's very ham-fisted.
Yeah, you know.
What do you mean? There's only love or hate in this world.
He loves him. He just said he loves him.
I love Kojima games. That's it. Yeah. You're so good at speaking, but listening?
What do you mean?
What's ham-fisted about the parent saying his dead sister's name 2 seconds after she dies?
My name is Hardman. I am constantly a hard man. Yeah, it's. I mean, like, you know, stuff like, oh, this is a 30-minute long cutscene that's like unskippable, and just stuff happens that like it matters, but it also kind of doesn't matter, but you're still confused at what's going on. Like it over-explains so much, and yet you still have no clue what's going on. But it's great. I love the experience of most Kojima games, and I think that it comes with this level of passion that you can feel. Because if a Kojima game had forced super long cutscenes, or you know, really cheesy names, or just long like philosophical explanations that seem to come out of nowhere, but it came from a person that you didn't feel the people's passion, that it didn't feel like they really were into it, that they really were trying to make a point, you feel that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the nice things about Kojima games, is that it doesn't even matter if you agree or disagree to anything anyone's saying. It doesn't matter if you even understand what's going on plot-wise. You feel awesome, because you just feel that passion. And I think that that's great. And it's very ham-fisted. It's very in your face. How do we have, you know, 5 cutscenes in a row where you do literally nothing? And
I gotta get back to Death Stranding. Yeah.
It
just really makes you want to play Death Stranding right now.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, MGS2, man. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Classic. The most based game of all time, Metal Gear Solid 2.
It's true. It's true. God, it's too bad they changed the original ending. Anyways, so wow, that's great. I feel like we just learned.
Yeah,
it's almost
I feel like with the if you want to finish that thought, Nick.
No, you can
before I go in. I was just going to say, I feel like talking about narrative, I feel like an advantage of being an independent game, you know, you're not shackled by like tons of shareholders or whatever in the bigger studios. Like your narratives can actually say something. I think that's an issue that kind of plagues not all, you know, big productions, but certainly with like a lot of games as entertainment, they're just not saying anything. With the themes of Rogue Labyrinth, are there any you're particularly proud of? You know, without spoiling anything.
The major things of Rogue Labyrinth is just like, hey, colonialism, it's bad. Capitalism, it's bad.
If you guys didn't know.
Yeah. It's very much about like, here's this rich guy, and everyone really respects this rich guy who is clearly not that smart or even that well put together.
Sounds
but like
familiar.
Yeah, was he based on any real world people or
No. His name is Echelon, and that means nothing. Obviously, it has no relation to anyone with a similar name. it was part of the marketing thing that we were like discussing. Should we start beef with Elon Musk? Because it was at the time when he was like really like talking to everyone, and I was like, we can't. I don't think we can, and I almost regret that actually because I feel like it actually probably would have been funny to do it. Regardless, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference in the long run. But at the time, it was a lot more like, but when the public was a little bit more unsure if Elon Musk was really awful, and we were already like 3 years ago making this guy the antagonist of our game. So Echelon, definitely not related to Elon Musk, is the main antagonist. He's just this rich guy who has made this game in order to award whoever wins this game an entire country. He does not own this country, but he just says he owns this country. And everyone respects what he says because this country is very poor and he's incredibly rich. So why not just believe this rich guy? Because why not? It also has this tiny bit of like, I guess you could say gray area because people were about to invade this poor country. And all of a sudden this rich guy comes in and is kind of like, hey, instead of going into war, play my game. And I will just give the country to whoever wins my game. And it does technically stop the war, which is like a bit of like, well, he kind of did something good. He stopped a war from happening. But why is it that we live in a society, I suppose? We live in a society, people. Why is it?
There it is. It's the game.
Where people will stop war and listen to whatever this rich guy says solely because he says it, even though he has absolutely no authority about it. And that is unfortunately still kind of relevant to this day.
I was gonna say, this feels very topical in ways.
I'm
Unfortunately
sorry.
prescient.
So yeah, I'm proud that we have any amount of messaging about like being anti-colonialist, anti-capitalist. I almost wish that we could delve more time into it within the game, but it's hard to balance like how much do we want to sit on a soapbox and how much do we want just people to play the game.
Maybe add some codec calls,
Yeah, really long codec calls about the importance of being in the box.
The DLC meal tickets.
Yeah.
Well, that's very great to hear. It's very, very exciting to know that the game has that sort of thought and intention behind it, on top of mechanical like chops of the gameplay loop.
Yes, that would be fun. Maybe. Have you tricked anyone into developing empathy by playing this game? Have you got any stories like that so far?
No,
not yet. Huh?
Down the line.
I will say the one thing that I wish there was more engagement on is the story. I get comments about the story. We get comments. I get messages, stuff like that, and people like it. But most of the time, it's always people who are already like very on board with it. I find that gamers who tend to be the more, let's say, like conservative-minded gamers tend not to actually care at all about the story or read it, but they still like the game. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Like,
well, you gave me the money. I can't. Jesus.
There's a skip button in there. They're like, once they start hearing people talk, they like within the first cutscene. There's someone who has darker skin that says a line, and they're like, I don't want to skip button or whatever. It's like I wish I had the ability to make a game that makes people think. I wish that Rogue Labyrinth was that game. I don't think it's there, and that is a comment just on like our ability as the 4 people worked on this game worked on a lot of games, but like you need a lot of games on your belt to make something that feels really, really amazing. Rogue Labyrinth is amazing, but like I wish, and this is more of like a me thing because I had a great writer, but like being able to tie narrative into mechanics, I can lecture about it. It's tough. It's the hardest thing anyone can do. And I think Rogue Labyrinth, like there's this step, there's like this hump that I've been working on for
you're months. Approaching it. Yeah.
That's just like, how do I get it to that point where people always care about the story? How do I get it to becomes that level of like, because like you take something like Undertale. I talk about Undertale. It's like it's a cutscene. It's so much just like talking, and it's beautiful in that way. You take a look at like Metal Gear Solid. It's a 10-hour game with 2 hours of gameplay. Most of it's just like watching people talk and everything. And it pulls that off in this element of like how well it's polished and how well it's put together and the way that it approaches its writing and the passion. And like, I wish I had gotten Rogue Labyrinth to that level. But there's just this hump that I've been trying to figure out how to get people who don't care about story to care about the story. And I think it's possible. I've seen many games do it. I've seen many people who will never bother care about story in games still get into games. Rogue Labyrinth, it's like, it's on its way there. It's not quite there. That's the most criticism I'll probably give my own game. I still got a great story. I still get a lot of positive comments about it, but I always will look at it and be like, the people who didn't care about story, they still won't. And it's possible to reach them. I haven't
said that there's would you like to revisit Rogue Labyrinth either in some sort of additional like add-on DLC or a sequel perhaps, or is that something you want to work on for your next separate project? Is that like the main goal you're trying to achieve?
We're working on patches that will add more content and features to Rogue Labyrinth and just fix stuff, make it better, all that kind of stuff. The next big patch is probably going to be in late November, and then we'll probably just continue doing bits of stuff like that. But it's still iffy if we will just fully make a whole other Rogue Labyrinth sequel game, like that's directly a sequel, or just like add to the existing game. It just kind of depends on reception. It's been received quite well, but it's one of those.
How has launch been? Yeah,
it's been good. I think it's been good. Yeah, everyone, we have a publisher. They say it's been great. We look at ourselves, our assessment of it. We think it's been great. Reception's been awesome. I think we have one negative review. We'll see if there's more after this. That'll be great. Give me the negative.
Don't read
reviews.
The comments.
I want to frame this negative review because it's very funny to us when we saw it. Where it was just kind of like, I played the game. It's really nice, but it wasn't my game. And they played like they played like 5 minutes. And I was like, this is like, it feels like the epitome of like Steam reviews.
Yeah. It's like the two extremes. It's either like play for 5 minutes, like worst game I've ever seen my entire life. No thanks. Or it's 10,000 hours put into it. It's like there's nothing left for me to do anymore. So downvoted.
Yeah, it's just it was funny to us. We really thought, but I mean, like I look at that and I look at the fact that like we've put out this game, we've sold a lot of copies, we get a lot of reviews, and we only have one negative review, and it's not even like that negative. The reception's been great. But it just becomes this level of like, I mean, making a game takes years. It took us 3 years to make this game. It's not even like it has a lot of content, but it's not even like a huge game. Any game that we make next, of course, we want to be a little bigger, a little better. And so it becomes like, do we want to spend 3 years with the exact same characters? And would an audience really want that even? And if the answer is yes, and we learned that it's yes, we'll 100% do it. We have a plan. We know exactly what the next Rogue Labyrinth game would be. But the question of would we actually do it is way up in the air. And I think we wouldn't be able to answer that for another few months just to kind of see what the reception is and see what people say, how people are, Do we have someone on social media every day commenting? It's kind of like, when's the next game coming out? Like,
day one of asking for Rogue Labyrinth sequel. Day two, very good.
So that's for Rogue Labyrinth. It's a little hard to say. I mean, we have games that we know we're going to work on next, and we're no matter what, we're still supporting Rogue Labyrinth. We still have features that are going to come out, content that's going to come out. But right now, that's as far as we are 100% planning for, is like a couple more like feature patches for the game.
Okay. Right on. Now that you've launched, have you had any time yourself to play any games recently?
Not
or are you still no time? Brutal.
Yeah, there's always that like panicky first 1 or 2 weeks whenever you launch a game that's just like fixing tons of stuff, and there's still stuff to fix truly. And then I immediately jumped into, I made a Game Boy game, and that's always done really well, this Game Boy game, and I wanted to port that, so I've been working on that. Then I teach at a college, so the semester started, I've been doing that. I have a baby on the way. I have my next like thing that I want to work on is just for me to learn more about different game design. It's going to be more of a narrative-y, platformer-y type of thing. It's small. It's just like a little something I want to work on so I get better at some of the things that I want to think about. Basically, like, I just have this whole schedule of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you got it mapped out. Yeah.
I want to play the new Deltarunes. Definitely.
Yes,
I haven't done
it's
it
great.
yet. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I think we saw you the one day I wasn't dressed as Spampton.
Oh yeah. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you. I only got called Jigsaw thrice.
Hey, it's the clown. It's Jigsaw. Yeah.
So it's not even the clown, but that's irrelevant.
I've been on like the last mission, I think, of Baldur's Gate 3 for months. I
relate to that. I relate to that so hard, dude. Act 3 of that game is fucking brutal.
It's
like
so
combat
much.
Counter after combat encounter.
It's just like I take like 3 steps forward and then a ton of stuff happens. I'm like, I just kind of wanted to move forward.
I kind of wanted to see the city.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Relatable.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to play. I have a whole list. One of these days I'll get to it.
Very good.
But
that's where you're at. Yeah, not a lot of time to do it. Well, understandable. Very good. Well, Nick, any final questions about the game or the game's future, or John's future for that matter?
You don't need to talk about me. It's all right.
If there was
anything else,
if there was anything you would want people who play Rogue Labyrinth, the players, to walk away from, what would that be?
Oh my gosh.
What would you like to impart upon them?
Yeah, you better have had fun. Just like get some whimsy in you. There's these games that like I always just have these memories of that I like play these games and I don't even always remember everything about the game, but I'm kind of like, wow, that was wacky. I had a great time. And that is like the stuff I always wish I could like give to someone. Or if it's just like a single line in the game that like sticks with someone that they just find silly or like keeps with them in some way, anything. It's those little moments that really make people, those little bits of like memories that we think back on. And that's always a big thing that I hope to do, is that when people spend the time to play a game that I've been involved in, that some elements of what I've done stays with them in some positive way, even if it is not very related, even if it's just kind of like, haha, that was funny when that guy fell over, like anything. That is like, that's just kind of what we need sometimes, to put in stupid, silly lines, to have, some jokes that we just think about sometimes, stuff that we're trying to share with people. And that's what I'm hoping like happens. And sometimes that's just game mechanics, like, oh my God, I hit this like thorn back and it bounced around and it did a ton of damage and that felt so cool, like that. Or, a stupid thing was kind of like, man, that's a vending machine. I remember when this little plant baby like picked a vending machine and handed me something in this game. Like just little things like that. I always hope that is left at people when they do things. I hope that I leave a visceral reaction to a few people too.
Yeah, sears their consciousness.
Yeah. Or they like either like really love it or just really hate it. Like
either way, they're branded for life.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want some Elon Musk fan to play this game and kind of like, oh my God, that's Elon Musk. They're retarding Elon Musk. Just like hate it forever. Like I want that.
Yeah, a visceral reaction.
Yeah.
Give it time. I'm sure it's gonna happen.
It'll happen. Yeah.
I'm sure it's gonna happen. Oh, very good. Well, before we close out the show with plugs, any final words of wisdom for prospective game devs out there?
Keep learning. Keep messing around with stuff. You'll never stop learning how to do things. This is a medium that's constantly changing every single time, and that is not a reason to feel overwhelmed. It's just a reason to be excited that you will always have stuff to do should you want it. But in that same vein, never be afraid to dig in a little and then just get good at that thing that you enjoyed, because that'll always be needed. There are equal amounts of people who like, an example that I talk about is there is a game developer who was the senior animation 3D modeler person for Aloy's hair in Horizon Zero Dawn. Amazing hair, right? They had a team of people underneath them, and all they did for like a year and a half was just make hair that worked with different outfits, right? So if you really like that and you get into that, there you go. But then for something like Undertale, there was like 1 or 2 artists on that game, and they did everything, right? So it's like, oh, I like doing a little bit of everything. Well, then there you go. Oh, I really love modeling hair. Well, then there you go. Oh, I really like making lightning bolts. Guess what? There's a role for that. It's twofold. If you like doing a little of everything, there's a place for you. If you like, being the person who gets really good at one thing, there's a place for you. And it's great. And there aren't that many types of jobs out there that let you kind of do stuff like that. So, mess around, learn some stuff, get obsessed with something. It's good. In terms of like actually like making a project, start real small, join projects, make a whole lot of tiny games, do that for a while before you really step into making your own game. The 4 people who worked on this game have worked on a lot of games before Rogue Labyrinth, and we'll likely still make a bunch more games before we make something remotely larger than Rogue Labyrinth. It just takes a lot of learning, a lot of trial and error. So don't get too afraid and mess around. Keep learning.
Well, thank you for coming on today, John.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's been a pleasure. The game is out now. You can find it on Steam. And where can viewers and listeners find you, John, if you have any plugs you'd like to share?
I guess I'm Kaimaton. It's probably on screen somewhere. I don't know if it will be.
It's right there.
That's the name that I was unfortunately stuck with on the internet. So that's
unfortunately. Why is that?
I did not intend for this name to get popular. I made my first. I like put a name in. It was just like, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like a thing. And then I did some things that went a little viral. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm just stuck with this now forever.
Stuck with it.
I've never changed it. So yeah.
I get it. Our third co-host, he hates his name.
Oh no.
His screen name is pretty great.
Yeah.
It's Flaccid Father. I want to keep you in suspense.
That's great.
He went to the bathroom while I was at his house when we were in high school, and he was making his PlayStation Network account. I put that in, and I said, hey, look, you can't change it. That was just permanently his name.
That's so great. You see,
I shaped his life.
You changed someone forever.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. They now have a visceral reaction because of you. What you did.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. I'm just like an Ernest Hemingway novel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you both. This has been fantastic.
Of course. Yes.
I love that you do this for everything.
We do it for the love of the game, frankly.
It's true. And I feel like this one.
We won't.
I mean, maybe now. I mean, we'll be sure to edit out,
maybe now.
Things the beginning at this point.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is quite good. I think this is the first time we've actually learned anything while we were doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never again.
100 episodes. John,
I didn't even realize
so much. It's been a real pleasure. And until next time, this has been a Video Ditch. Thank you all for listening. Go out there, play a goddamn video game, and take care of yourselves.
Yes, keep on gaming in the free world.